summer. It's time for camping and hiking, vacations and barbecues, fun with family and friends. And it's time to grab your swimsuit and towel and head out to the beach or pool for some serious sunbathing. After all, what's better than getting that perfect tan? But lately, there's been a lot of talk about tanning up. And with all the contradicting facts out there, it's hard to be able to tell what's just a myth and what's the truth. Is it really dangerous? What kind of sunscreen do I need to wear? Do I even really need sunscreen? Are there any tanning options that won't hurt me? My name's Caitlin Pace from Webster County, and I'm here today to show you the real facts behind tanning and sun exposure. Today we'll explore several common sun exposure and tanning myths, such as a tan is a sign of health, having a base tan will keep you from getting a sunburn, tanning beds are safer than outdoor tanning and won't give you cancer, skin cancer isn't a problem because it's easily removed, tanning boosts your vitamin D levels, tanning can help treat a certain kind of depression, tanning cures acne breakouts, spray tans make you look orange, certain skin tones can't get spray tans, and all sunscreens are the same. One of the most common myths about tanning is that a good tan is a sign of health. After all, only a really healthy person could have that sort of glow, right? Actually, the truth is, no matter how deep of a tan you have, any tan at all is a sign of skin damage that can cause premature aging, such as wrinkles and leathery skin, and it can cause several kinds of skin cancer. Of course, a tan can't be completely avoided, as spending any time in the sun is going to cause some darkening of the skin. Many people have jobs or activities they do that require them to be out in the sun. Sunscreen can help you avoid some skin damage, but only if the SPF is high enough and only if you apply it regularly. Before going on a trip to a beach or on a cruise, many people will head to a tanning booth because of the next myth, that having a base tan will keep you from getting a sunburn. But is this only a myth? Actually, it's true. Sort of. Because a tan is your body's natural defense against harmful ultraviolet rays, it makes sense that a tan would keep you from getting some sort of a sunburn, and you are less likely to burn if you have a tan already. However, a base tan will not protect you from ultraviolet rays. After all, a moderate tan's SPF, or sun protection factor, is only 4. Considering most dermatologists recommend at least 15 for a sunscreen, using a base tan as your sun protection is like using a piece of printer paper as an umbrella. It's so little protection, it's basically non-existent. Another common myth about sun exposure is that people who are dark-skinned don't have to worry about skin damage caused by the sun. This myth is also false. While it's true that people with darker skin tones are less likely to be sunburned and are less likely to get cancer from exposure to the sun, people who have dark skin are still liable to get damage to their skin with overexposure to UV rays. So no matter how dark of a skin tone you have, it's still important to wear sunscreen whenever you go outdoors and have skin exposed. By this point, you might be thinking, okay, so it's a bad idea to go tanning outside, but I tan in a tanning booth, so I'm safe. But you can only think this because of yet another tanning myth, that tanning beds are safer than outdoor tanning. This myth comes from the fact that the bulbs in tanning beds give off more UVA radiation than UVB radiation. UVB is the radiation that causes sunburn. However, according to the World Health Organization, UVA radiation is just as harmful to your skin as UVB radiation. It has even been proposed that UVA rays may be even more likely to cause the most deadly kind of skin cancer, melanoma. Another argument for the use of tanning beds is that the amount of radiation in a tanning bed can be controlled, unlike natural sunlight. Despite this, the radiation levels in a tanning bed are comparable to and often stronger than those of natural sunlight, so the amount of radiation taken in would be the same or even greater than what you would get sunbathing. Another claim of the tanning industry is that tanning beds will not give you cancer, which is completely false. In fact, the United States Department of Health and Human Services has classified tanning beds as a known carcinogen. Studies have shown that frequent tanning bed users, who are people who use tanning devices for at least 50 hours, 100 sessions, or 10 years, are 3 times more likely to develop melanoma than those who don't use tanning devices. And the chances of developing melanoma continue to rise the more often tanning devices are used. And melanoma isn't the only kind of cancer that can be caused by tanning. All 3 major kinds of skin cancer, basal cell, squamous, and melanoma, can develop from the skin damage caused by tanning. But skin cancer is not such a big deal, is it? After all, nearly half of all Americans over the age of 65 will develop some kind of skin cancer, and most kinds of skin cancer are easily removed by surgery. In fact, all skin cancer that is non-melanoma is curable if brought to a doctor's attention before it spreads. However, this only applies to non-melanoma skin cancer, which is why this myth is false. This is melanoma. It looks rather harmless, often appearing as a slightly large, irregularly shaped, or irregularly colored mole. But don't let its simple appearance fool you. Melanoma is the most dangerous form of skin cancer, and because it is rarely recognized in its beginning stages, it is often the most deadly as well. In fact, 1 person dies of melanoma every hour. It can be recognized by the ABCDE system. A for asymmetry, where the mole, when divided in half, doesn't match the opposite half. B for border irregularity, where the border is uneven. C for color, where the color of the mole is strange, or it might have more than one color. D for diameter, where the mole has a diameter larger than 1/4 of an inch. And E for evolution, where the mole changes in any way. If you notice any of these changes, you should be checked out by a doctor right away, because cancer is the easiest to cure when it is found in its beginning stages. Beyond the visual appeal of a tan, many people tan for health reasons. An example of this is many believe that tanning is necessary in order for your body to have enough vitamin D, a vitamin that helps heart and bone health, aids the immune system, and can help prevent several kinds of cancers. But is this really the case? Most doctors say that it isn't. While it's true that exposure to sunlight stimulates the body to produce vitamin D, you can get all the vitamin D you need through your diet. Many juices, cereals, yogurts, and milk are fortified with vitamin D, and it can also be found in many vitamin supplements. If it's absolutely necessary for you to get your vitamin D through sun exposure, a very small amount of time, 10 minutes each day at the very most, is plenty. In another health-related issue, many people suffer from a syndrome known as seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. SAD occurs at times when the number of hours of sunlight in a day are reduced, causing serotonin and melatonin levels to drop. This can result in a lack of sleep and a feeling of depression. Many such people seek out tanning beds as a treatment for this disorder, as the exposure to ultraviolet rays is believed to be able to trick the body into thinking there are more hours in the day. But is tanning really the best way to treat SAD? Studies show that it isn't. Light therapy, which is given by a light box directed at a downward slant toward the patient, has been shown to be a much more effective treatment for SAD than tanning is, and most doctors and dermatologists don't recommend using tanning as a treatment for SAD at all, because while the fact remains that tanning may help marginally with managing SAD, its risks far outweigh its benefits. Another popular myth encouraged by the tanning industry is that tanning helps to cure acne. And it's true at first because tanning dries out your skin and the color helps to camouflage acne. Unfortunately, after the initial improvement, tanning actually makes your acne worse because it creates more dead skin cells that mix with the bacteria and oil on your skin and create more acne. Most dermatologists tell their patients to avoid tanning, period, because of the adverse effects in general. After learning all of this, you may feel at a loss. You now know that tanning, whether indoors or out, can damage your skin and cause many kinds of cancer. But you still don't want to look pale and pasty. You like that sun-kissed glow. But how can you get your desired color and still stay safe? One way is through artificial tanning. Of course, artificial tanning has just as many myths out there about it as tanning in a tanning booth or in the sunlight. One of the most common myths about artificial tans is that they'll make you look orange. And who wants to end up looking like an Oompa Loompa? Now, it may very well be true that an artificial tan can make you look orange, but only if it is incorrectly applied. With all the new developments in artificial tan technology, many spray tans can look very natural. I can speak from experience on this matter, as I've gotten spray tans several times before, and I'm often asked how long I had to tan to get such a great color. If you want your artificial tan to look natural, make sure you follow the instructions very carefully. There are many kinds of artificial tans, which include spray tans and self-tanning lotions. These work by putting the chemical dihydroacetone, or DHA, on your skin. This reacts with the dead skin cells on the surface of your skin and causes them to darken. Many tanning salons offer spray tan booths, which mist your skin with the product and prevent splotchy areas. Just make sure to protect your nose, mouth, eyes, and ears from the mist, as inhaling too much of the chemical could be potentially dangerous, and it should not come in contact with mucous membranes. DHA is approved by the FDA and is not linked to any kinds of skin cancer or premature aging. Depending on what you've heard about spray tans, you may have heard the next myth. People with too light or too dark of skin tones can't get an artificial tan. This is also false. While an artificial tan can look unnatural if you use the wrong kind, many different shades of artificial tans have been developed for people with extremely pale to very dark skin. So if you burn easily and never tan in the sun, a spray tan would probably be the best bet for you anyway. Now that you know all about the damage that your skin can get from sun exposure, you probably realize that it's a good idea to wear sunscreen whenever you'll be exposed to UV rays. But what kind of sunscreen should you wear? This brings us to our final myth, that all sunscreens are the same. This is most certainly not true. There are many kinds of sunscreens out there, from creams and gels to spray-ons and powders. You should choose what sort of sunscreen you use based on if you're going to get wet or sweat a lot, how sensitive your skin is, and how easy the sunscreen is to reapply. If you're going to get wet, such as if you're going to the beach or pool, or if you're going to do an activity that's going to make you sweat a lot, you should choose a sunscreen that's waterproof. If you have skin that's prone to breakouts, or if you're allergic to some chemicals in regular sunscreen, it might be a good idea to get a sunscreen that's oil-free or hypoallergenic. The most important things to look for when you purchase sunscreen are its SPF and whether or not it provides broad-spectrum protection. SPF is a measure of how well the sunscreen protects your body from UVB rays, the rays that cause sunburn. Most dermatologists agree that an SPF of 15 is the minimum protection that people should have, though some argue that because people do not apply sunscreen as regularly or as heavily as they ought to, an SPF of 30 is more recommendable. It is also important that you make sure your sunscreen provides broad-spectrum or UVA or UVB protection. If your sunscreen doesn't say that it provides UVA or UVB protection, then it probably only protects against UVB. While this will still keep you from getting a sunburn, it's important to remember that UVA rays are just as dangerous and possibly more so than UVB rays, so it's vital that you're protected from both. It's also important to read the directions on your sunscreen and apply it as directed. If you don't put on your sunscreen correctly, it can't protect you. Now, let's go over the facts of sun exposure and tanning. A tan is a sign of skin damage. Having a base tan will not protect you from UV rays, and all skin tones can get skin damage from the sun. Tanning beds are not safer than outdoor tanning, and they can give you cancer. Skin cancer is dangerous. You do not need to tan to get vitamin D. Tanning is not a good treatment for SAD. Tanning makes acne breakouts worse. Spray tans only make you look orange if incorrectly applied. All skin tones can get a spray tan. And there are many kinds of sunscreen, and it's important to pick the correct one for you. Now, are there any questions? The question was asked, how did I become interested in this topic? I don't know if you've all seen it on the news, but there was a lot of talk about that, I think they call her the tanning mom, who kind of went overboard with all the tanning. And it kind of surprised me to see how many people didn't think that was a problem, when it's really a big health risk. Any further questions? Yes. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? Okay, the question is asked, do you need to put sunscreen on even if you don't burn? Yes, you do, because even if you're not burning, that tan is showing that you're getting skin damage, and you don't want that because it can cause wrinkles, skin cancer, and leathery skin. Any other questions? The question was asked, have I found that spray tans are very expensive? They certainly can be, depending on where you go. A lot of tanning salons will offer like deals on those. So, and you can sign up for things like that. We'll like email you or mail you things whenever they have like a special on spray tans. And there are also ones that you can buy in drugstores, which, if you're careful with them, they look just as natural as a regular tan. Yes. The question was asked, is there a certain point where the increase in SPF doesn't really matter? After you get to about 50, increasing the number isn't really a big deal because you're going to want to reapply that regularly anyway, and that's just a length of time. So really, after 50, it doesn't really matter how high the SPF is. Any further questions? Yes. The question was asked, does the spray tan solution act as a sunblock? No, it does not. It just darkens the skin, and so it doesn't even give you the 4 SPF of a natural tan, but like I said, it doesn't really matter if you have that 4 SPF because it's not going to help you. Any further questions? Thank you for listening and stay healthy.